What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, today's video, wanted to talk to you about Black Panther #4, written by Eve L. Ewing, with pencils by Chris Allen and Mac Chatter, as well as inks by Craig Young and Mac Chatter, with color by Jesus Abertov. So this comic is one that I'm probably going to talk about a little differently than I do a lot of comics on here. And I'm going to go ahead and say right now, just a preface, I feel like I'm probably going to alienate some people. That's the case. The thing that I'm probably going to alienate you over, I'm okay with alienating you over. One of the things I've really loved about Eve L. Ewing's Black Panther run up to this point is the inclusion of the character of Beisa. Beisa is a new character who was introduced in this series, and while I think it's safe to say, and I don't think it's an unfair assumption to make, that this character is very much a Catwoman analog, I do find something very disturbing about the discourse surrounding the character of Beisa and something that is revealed in this issue. There was something that was teased in the previous one that is expounded upon in this one, and it was something I was very happy to see, but I was also at the same time very sad to see how, I'm not gonna say all people, but more people than I felt comfortable recognizing. In the previous issue, we got a tease, a flashback of Beisa's past, and that's something that, you know, for a character who was completely brand new, that we know absolutely nothing about, that's pretty huge. We get a flashback to her childhood, and I think like a lot of other people, when reading those scenes, I realized very quickly that there was some queer coding within these panels and a tease of Beisa potentially being LGBTQIA+. And wherever in the spectrum she fell, I didn't really care. I just really liked this character and I wanted to know more about her, regardless of any labels. And while, like I said earlier, a lot of people who I saw responding to this, a lot of people did admit that they believed that the reveal was going to be that Beisa would be revealed to be lesbian, putting the kibosh on any potential relationship between T'Challa and Beisa, as people, myself included, have speculated would come up because they have a very Bat-Catwoman dynamic, and it's not something that's done by accident. This is something that's done very purposefully. I feel like if I sat down with Eve L. Ewing and asked her face to face, is this what you're going for? Are you going for a Batman Catwoman dynamic? I'm pretty sure that she would probably giggle first and then say, well, yeah, duh. That's what I feel like would happen. And I'm fine with that. I have no issues with that whatsoever. I don't have any issues with any of this. In this issue of issue #4, it is revealed that Beisa is, in fact, yes, a member of the LGBTQIA+ community. But the part of the LGBTQIA+ community I think people are more surprised by in this reveal is that she is trans. The way that Eve, laid all this out, the way that it was just kind of casually dropped, that her and Black Panther literally just having a conversation, just talking, and it comes up organically, the reveal that Beisa is trans. When Beisa and Black Panther are sharing bits and pieces about themselves with one another, and Beisa says something that almost implies that she has a brother who had very much disappointed her warmongering father because he didn't become a soldier and fought in all the wars alongside his dad. However, that's not the case. When T'Challa just casually makes a reference to his adopted brother, the White Wolf, Beisa says, I don't have a brother. And this is where it comes up that T'Challa recognizes Beisa was originally born male, but now she is female. She is a transgender woman. Even going as far as to calling her Okulani. This word is a word for someone who very likely is what Beisa is. Someone who very likely was one way and became another. And in this case, Beisa originally being male and now being female. And this is where I started seeing some really ugly discourse going on in the comics Twitter, corner of things, where there were so many people who were just so angry about the idea of Beisa being trans. It was like, dude, it's not that big a deal. It's okay. It's fine. This is representation. This is what representation looks like. Stan Lee himself used to often say that comics should represent the world right outside your window, and trans people have existed for a very, very, very long time. So it's not that big a deal. I will say it is a big deal just in terms of the fact that if you look at the real world discourse surrounding LGBTQIA plus people on the continent of Africa, it does actually make a very big and bold statement. Now, I know some people are gonna say, well, wait a minute, Wakanda was never colonized. It doesn't even have the same religious structures. It very likely has very open and forward-thinking respect towards LGBTQIA plus relationships. But here's the part I think a lot of people aren't really picking up on. Beisa is not Wakandan. She's Mohandan. Mohanda is not a part of Wakanda, not Wakanda proper. Mohanda is its own separate entity within Africa. It's actually the northern neighbor of Wakanda. It is connected to Wakanda in so much as it is literally right next to it, like right above it. That is where that begins and ends. And Mohanda does not have the same luxuries of never being colonized or never having outside forces try to take it over. As a matter of fact, the White Wolf literally just colonized Mohanda in the Captain America Symbol of Truth series not that long ago. So yeah, this is not unusual for this country. This is a country that has been through a lot of things. It is a war-torn country. It is a very poor country. It is not the same as Wakanda. As a matter of fact, I would dare say that when we talked about Burning T'Chaka being, I guess, like the polar opposite of Burning Zana, which is the Golden City, the capital of Wakanda. Burning T'Chaka is the polar opposite of that. It is a more lower income area, but at the same time, Mohanda, it's the third world country version of Wakanda. It is literally what you would expect to see if you went to a third world country that was very poor and just didn't have shit going for it. A place that has been bombed down and depleted. Its children have very likely been, trafficked and thrown into wars that they're too young to fight. Its people, its teachers, its leaders, its voices have all probably been killed, crucified even. Mohanda is not a progressive place. Hence, why Beisa left Mohanda. I saw some people even arguing that, Wakanda, no one in Wakanda would probably think this way. But yeah, that's just it. She's not from Wakanda. She is from Mohanda. And for all the people who missed the message, like Beisa even does say at one point and within the same breath that is the reason why she left Mohanda, is not even just because of the war, but because she could be who she truly was. So that said, I did find it very interesting, just in the discourse surrounding this and the people that are very angry about Beisa's inclusion as a trans woman in the Black Panther mythos and universe. I can pretty much guarantee you comes from a couple of different places. One of which is the most obvious one, I believe, is that because of the nature of the relationship between Black Panther and Beisa, and them already having very flirty, playful moments with one another, moments that would indicate that there may be some romantic attraction between the two, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna be so angry about the fact that Black Panther is going to be having carnal relations with a woman who just might have or has had a personally, I think that's dumb. Because, well, for one, it's not our business what she does or does not have. And I'm gonna go on a limb and say, just based on the fact that she lives a pretty lavish lifestyle in Burning T'Chaka and that she has a pretty fair amount of money to herself, she lives very well. I would imagine that she's also most likely a post-op transgender woman. So I don't think there's any of that to even worry about. And even if it was, I don't think it matters. Even if they did pursue a romantic relationship between Beisa and T'Challa, it does not matter to me that Beisa is trans, at least when it comes to whether or not it excludes her from being able to date Black Panther. If Eve Ewing wants to pair these two characters up romantically, I am perfectly fine with that. And if, for whatever reason, Eve Ewing chooses not to pair these two characters up, despite the fact that she has been playing pretty fast and loose with the Batman Catwoman flirtatious dynamic that they have, I wouldn't care either, because that is her prerogative as a writer to do so or not do so. I think it's a missed opportunity if she doesn't, but it's her story. She can do whatever she wants to with it. That said, if they were to pair the two characters together, fine, so be it. let them be great. The only axe to grind with T'Challa and Beisa's relationship, if they should choose to have a romantic one, is that I hope that they do it well and that they do it right. Do it the justice that it deserves. Don't just do it to pop the LGBTQIA+ crowd and then completely move on from the story and act as if it never happened later. Being a person who is as straight and cisgender as they come, even I would be annoyed by that. That said, I also think that the other reason why there are people who are mad about this that may not be as obvious to others is that because Beisa is depicted as a very clearly sexy, vivacious woman, a woman who is sultry, who knows that she's beautiful, she knows that she has power and grace, and she uses it at every turn, and she lives truly and fully in herself. So because she is depicted so clearly as a woman, I feel like the readers who were shocked and appalled by the notion that she is a trans woman are angry because they probably and very likely had some inkling of attraction to her as a character. Not saying that they were, to the character or anything like that, but I'm just saying that they looked at this character and said, that is a sexy, attractive woman. And then to only find out after the fact that she is a transgender woman, this is where it starts to make them question themselves. And because they're questioning themselves, they are now angry. Not even so much at the story or the people who have created the story. I think the truth is they're more angry at themselves because it's making them question themselves. And the only way that they can avoid a cognitive dissonance is to direct that anger towards the character and the people who created her. So that's my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I think this is a very powerful story. I think this is a very impactful story that could be told in Black Panther comics because I'll be brutally honest with you, being LGBTQIA+ in Africa, not as progressive as you might think. Africa is actually a very backwards continent, and I think a lot of people forget that. The idea that it is punishable by death in at least 4 countries in Africa, one of which being Nigeria, to be a part of a same-sex couple. Yeah, you could be killed for being a man who is married to a man. You could be killed for being a woman married to a woman. And I want to make sure that I'm correct here in saying this. I actually have this pulled up. My source is of pbs.org, but as it stands right now, as of June of this year, 2023, in the year of our Lord of the Rings, countries like Somalia, Uganda, Nigeria, and Mauritania, all 4 of those countries, it is punishable by death to be in a same-sex couple. And at least in another 4 countries like Sierra Leone or the Sudan or Tanzania and Zambia, you can wind up with a prison sentence of anywhere between 1 year to 15. Now, I will definitely say it's not all terrible. In at least 15 different countries in Africa, there are no penalties for same-sex couplings. The only place in Africa where it's actually legal to have a same-sex pairing is in South Africa, and that's it. The other countries I mentioned where there was no penalty, there's no penalty, but it's not legal. Like, you could do it. It's just that no one's gonna come after you for it. You can have a same-sex coupling, but you can't be legally married to one another. In South Africa, you actually can. Now, you're probably sitting here saying, what does this have to do with transgenderism in Africa? Isn't it perfectly fine to have transgenderism in Africa? No. In countries like Namibia and South Africa, it is actually possible to do so. Countries like Angola, Botswana, and Mozambique, it is technically possible to have a gender reassignment surgery there, but the availability of the resources to do so are nebulous at best. And then pretty much every other country in Africa, it ain't happening. And as a matter of fact, if you try to do so, you will probably either be imprisoned or killed. So yeah, this is a very important story to have a transgender character operating in what is, for all intents and purposes, a more progressive part of Africa, a fictitious progressive part of Africa, but still a progressive one. The idea of addressing the fact that there are other places in Africa where it is not okay to be transgender as Beisa is, this is a very important story to tell, and I know it's gonna piss some people off, but it is what it is. Honestly, because of the nature of this video, I didn't really feel it necessary to, crack any jokes or, have any laughs about, you know, whether or not you like, share, subscribe, whatever the case. It was not made to promote myself, and I'm not going to. So if you like and share, whatever, you know, that's cool. You do you. If you don't, well, you know, once again, you do you. I don't know what to tell you. I don't really know what to tell you at all. This is a video that I honestly do not expect to get very many views, or if they do, they'll probably be very hateful views. But I mean, it is what it is, and I'm not sorry about it. I hope this helps shed some light, or maybe explains the discourse surrounding the character of Beisa and why some people suddenly are starting to hate a Black Panther run that had only just started, that everyone seemed to be perfectly fine with up until the reveal of who Beisa really is. But anyways, keep it plus ultra, sound off in the comments.